The Russian invasion of Ukraine is entering a new phase.
Here's why eastern Ukraine is key to Russia's military campaign and how they're likely to attack. The Donbass area encompasses the region of Donetsk and Luhansk, essentially running up the eastern side of Ukraine, along a big chunk of the border with Russia. It has been at the heart of Ukrainian-Russian tensions for years.
In 2014, Russian-backed separatists took control of large parts of the Donbass and have been at war with Ukraine ever since. The areas declared themselves separate republics.
Just before the start of this latest conflict, Russia formally and unilaterally recognized the entirety of the Donbass region as being separate from Ukraine.
To recognize the independence of Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics.
Russian President Vladimir Putin then declared, contrary to fact, that the Ukrainian government was undertaking a genocide in the east. He started what he called a military operation to stop this and achieve the so-called denazification of Ukraine.
To begin with, the Russians wanted to take over the whole of Ukraine. They thought they could do it within 3 days. They obviously couldn't. Then they thought they could do it with a maneuver war whereby they took the cities and moved in on Kiev and surrounded it. They couldn't do that either. And so they're now in a third stage, which is where they're going for something, at least immediately, far more limited, which is to consolidate their hold in the southeast of the country, in the Donbass. And so territorially, they're now going for about a sixth or a seventh of the amount of territory they thought they would go for to start with. But this would be, if it succeeds, yet another bite into Ukrainian territory.
The east of Ukraine is home to large communities of people who are ethnically Russian. They speak Russian.
But for years, many in the West have accused Putin of using this as an excuse to increase Russian influence over the region. And it provided a reason to go to war and take the land as his own.
The fundamental mistake that Putin and his intelligence people and the military made is assuming that just because people in the Donbass region were Russian speakers or even of Russian origin, that they were not properly Ukrainian. The fact is they're all Ukrainians, and they deeply, deeply resent, other than a pretty small minority, being invaded by a neighbouring country.
Mariupol has been one of the worst affected areas of the war. Russian bombs and missiles have leveled much of the city in an intense fight to control it.
Geographically, it's an important area for Russia to take, with Crimea in the south under Russian control since 2014 and the pro-Russia separatists in the Donbass. Taking Mariupol could create a long stretch of land in the east, all under Russian control.
That's not the only reason why Mariupol is of strategic importance, though.
It's the major port in the Sea of Azov, which links into the Black Sea, and therefore handle a lot of material. So it's important because it's a port. And it's taken on a new strategic significance because it's now the southern anchor for this big offensive the Russians are beginning. And not least, if Mariupol somehow held out for very much longer, then it would be the David, as it were, refusing to be subdued by the Goliath of Russian military power.
Moscow has appointed a new general for the Ukraine operation, another signal that the war has entered a new phase.
General Alexander Dvornikov most recently led Russian forces in Syria, and he was known for brutal tactics targeting civilians.
Experts are calling the new focus of the war the battle for Donbass.
They will undoubtedly be trying to create a more maneuverist warfare in the southeast. And in one respect, I think we'll see a lot of tanks and armoured vehicles trying to move around quickly. And the Ukrainians will also be trying to move their heavy equipment around, their artillery, but also their anti-tank weapons to try to slow down this movement which the Russians are trying to create.
It's thought that the Russians want to end this fight by the 9th of May, Russian Victory Day, marking the surrender of Nazi Germany at the end of the Second World War. It's an important date in Russia, and it's marked by a large military parade in Moscow.
This could mean that the conflict is about to ramp up, Although how much progress can actually be made in that time, bearing in mind the major losses incurred by Russia so far, well, that remains to be seen. The Ukraine resistance has been stronger than most expected so far in this war.
In the east, forces are battle-hardened after years of fighting.
But this new phase could push that to the limit.
I think we will see bigger movements of bigger units moving around in this area once this battle is really joined. Then I think we'll see a really fierce battle at a very high tempo with a lot of attrition, lots of losses on both sides.
Cities in the region have encouraged civilians to escape, with humanitarian corridors being set up, but the death toll is rising every day, and this new phase will only make that worse. The battle for Donbass could be a key moment in this war, and one which neither side can really afford to lose.